Okay, well, we're going to go right to our guest in this segment. Her name is Sybil Nelson. She is an author and a teacher and a mother. Her series, very popular indeed, Priscilla the Great. Good morning, Sybil Nelson.
Hi, Hal. How are you?
I'm really well, and thank you so much for joining us. First of all, I just want to congratulate you. I mean, you know, it is so hard. Did you find, I mean, I find writing, obviously I find it hard to speak, as you've heard from my grasping at words here this morning, trying to come up with the right one. But I think writing is just one of the toughest things anybody can do. Is it that way for you, or do the words just come pouring out in bestseller mode without any real revision whatsoever, or even time spent?
No, writing is a real release for me. In fact, I call it my stress reliever from my life, because actually right now I'm not teaching anymore. I'm working on my PhD in biostatistics. So I write as a stress relief, go to the other side of my brain. And in the past 5 years, I've written 14 books, so I get pretty stressed.
Well, your latest is Priscilla the Great and the Time-Traveling Bullet, and these books have done very, very well. They're for young teens, and they also involve lessons as well. Priscilla the Great. And that's such a nice thing to be able to relieve stress by writing. Some people, I guess, relieve stress by drinking or shopping. I think this is a much better way, I'm sure.
Definite option.
Well, I mentioned we were going to interview you as part of our Mother's Day conversation that I started on Friday, asking, you know, what do moms want for Mother's Day? I kind of blew it. My wife was not thrilled with her Mother's Day, and I'm very sorry about that. I think maybe before we get to your specific topic, which is the relationship between working moms and their children, do these kind of hallmark holidays, if you will, put a lot of pressure on people that really shouldn't be there to kind of enjoy relationships that sometimes have a lot of stress, and they're more likely to reveal those fractures rather than to cover them over?
Oh, I definitely think holidays like this add much more stress to relationships than there need be. Fortunately, in my household, we're not too involved with that. I mean, in my household, Mother's Day is every day, and I get celebrated every day. So the only thing that made yesterday more special was getting a free sub from Firehouse Subs, and I was perfectly fine with that. So it wasn't a huge deal for us. The same thing with even Valentine's Day. I don't put a lot of pressure on my husband for things like that. It should be that emotion, that love, that connection that you have with your family should be something that is expressed every day. So you're not building it up for one day to be, especially disappointed for anything.
Yeah, I hear that. I really do. And, one thing that I think we can all do is not expect surprises. I want to know what I'm supposed to do, and then I'll do it. If I'm supposed to guess, I'll invariably guess wrong. Maybe that's just my own experience. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't like surprises.
Well, I'm not good at them. That's the problem. What I say, this is this great surprise, often will just not work out at all. All right, Sybil Nelson, let's talk to you, author of Priscilla the Great, the popular young adult series with a superhero heroine, Priscilla. Let's talk a little bit about that relationship between working moms and children. Is it harder, do you think, for kids to have working moms than a stay-at-home mom? Because I think there can be a lot of stress involved with too much mom at home as well.
I think there are benefits to both sides of it. There are benefits to kids with stay-at-home moms, and there are also benefits to kids with working moms. For example, when I stopped teaching and worked on my PhD, I was perfectly willing to organize my schedule to homeschool my 6-year-old child, but she wanted to go off into school at the outside world because she saw me as a teacher for so long, and she wanted that experience with classmates and the interaction with other people. And also, I think because I have less time being a working mother, I'm very organized. I often write my to-do list, I multitask, and my kids pick up on that, and they have these skills as well. My 6-year-old writes to-do lists so that she can get everything that she wants done. And another benefit is that I include my children in my many activities. I often write with my children. My children give me ideas for my stories. My 6-year-old daughter has written 2 books of her own as well. When I take my kids to the playground, I'll bring my notebook and I'll, continue writing and getting ideas and jotting down ideas as well.
We're talking to Sybil Nelson, author of Priscilla the Great series. And by the way, PriscillaTheGreat.com is the website. I see a movie, at least one movie has been made as well. How does that work for you?
Made, but The movie hasn't been made yet. The option was sold for the movie rights, and so we were hoping that, you know, a major studio would pick it up, and it was pitched to Disney and ABC Family and Nickelodeon with no interest yet. So we're still hoping for a movie one day.
I mean, you know what, I had heard about, I certainly know about the series, and I guess I had thought there had been a movie that was actually cut, but I guess obviously I missed.
Clamoring for a movie. My fans definitely want a movie, so we're hoping. Go to
PriscillaTheGreat.com for more information. You know what? I want to move on to a second topic. I know we're going to talk about this, working moms and children, but also I see from your publicist, and I was really interested to see that you are an African-American woman, and that does come into some of the conversations you have, especially with respect to the representation of kids in terms of their race and also in terms of gender in young adult books. And I at first went to that site and I thought she looks like she's white, but then I thought, no, wait, it's kind of a mixed race. Did you make a conscious decision to go with a white heroine or mixed race? I know that you have lots of different ethnicities represented in your books.
Yeah, in the Priscilla the Great series, every race, I think, is represented. It's a multicultural book, definitely. Priscilla is white. Her best friend is black. Her arch enemy is Chinese. The president is Hispanic. So almost every base is covered in that book. I also write under a pseudonym, Leslie Dubois, which features, in those books, always feature diverse characters and mostly African-American women. I remember growing up, I loved to read, and the books that I liked to read never had characters that looked like me. So when I started writing, I always wanted to write stories that had characters from many different backgrounds. I didn't want to read a book that was all white. I didn't want to read a book that was all black. I wanted to read a book where it featured people who knew different people that I wanted to be around, people that I wanted to interact with, and people that looked like me, and other people that didn't look like me as well. I wanted everyone to be included. And so that's what I aim for when I write.
Did you attend integrated schools, and did you teach at integrated? And when I say integrated, I don't mean legally integrated. I mean where there really was a checkerboard of kids in the classrooms, and of teachers as well.
In high school, I would say it was kind of mixed, probably leaning more to minority students. Now, in college, that was an experience for me. In college, my undergraduate university was predominantly white, and it was a real eye-opener from me, and I had a lot of experiences there that carry over into my books. For example, in my university, they had something called mock trial. Anytime there was a convention, they would hold a mock convention, and the students would sign up for different states and hold different delegations. And the Idaho delegation decided to create T-shirts with a black female prostitute-looking figure on it with the tagline, Idaho. And so many of the students, black, white, female, were just upset over this representation of women and minorities on this shirt, that there were a lot of heartfelt conversations, a lot of crying. I remember at one situation I was supposed to speak and, you know, represent the African-American women, but I was just so hurt that when I went to speak, nothing came out but tears. And then so one of my novels under my Leslie Dubois name called Nothing Else Matters has a similar situation at a fictional school called Charleston Prep University. And the day after Barack Obama is elected in 2008, someone puts up a derogatory banner, and that school has to deal with the emotional, the political, the division that causes at that school.
Did your your obvious hurt, and certainly understandable hurt at this racist and sexist representation by unfeeling students, do you think that they were touched, obviously there are some people who just are not touched by other people's pain, but do you think maybe you did reach some people who otherwise might not have understood what they were doing?
I think I definitely did. I think in that situation they really honestly didn't understand what that can cause someone to feel. They just thought it was funny. And they didn't realize that me coming from a poor neighborhood, single-parent family, depending on government handouts for a while, working my butt off to get to a degree, an education that high, and then turn around and see that my classmates merely think of me as a hoe because of what I look like. I don't think they really...
I mean, just hearing that makes me cringe. It makes me angry that
they didn't see a person behind that figure on the T-shirt. But I think going through that situation, it made everyone in my class stronger after that.
PriscillaTheGreat.com is the website for Sybil Nelson. We got a few more minutes. I asked you about the integrated school, in fact, not in law, because it reminded me of an article I had read in the Times. I've been reading a lot of the New York Times lately about a charter school in Brooklyn and how for Martin Luther King Day it was kind of a weird sense there because the school is about 99% black. And,
wow.
and the teachers are more mixed, but the sense is almost, well, really, have we come anywhere in 40 or 50 years? And I wonder what you think about that.
Exactly. Well, my situation is kind of the opposite. When I started teaching, I worked at private schools. I worked at one private school in Washington, D.C. that was very liberal and very integrated, and then I moved to South Carolina and worked in another school that was very conservative, very not integrated. And I kind of felt that I was bringing the integration to that school and that I was giving a new aspect, a new spin on things for these students. But I really honestly feel that when a school, when any kind of organization isn't integrated and doesn't have different sides and different stories and different people, that everyone loses, everyone misses out.
Yeah, that's my sense as well. You know what, Sybil,
So
I'm sorry. We got to cut this short. I do apologize. I could talk to you for the rest of the show, but we just don't have time. We'll be back after this. Sybil Nelson, thanks so much for joining us. PriscillaTheGreat.com. Go to that website, PriscillaTheGreat.com.